Alright, Jamie, it's Mike here from Mikesogacademy. So, hey, thanks for reaching out and thanks for sending me your swing. Definitely, it's a motion I've seen before, so I'm pretty confident we can help you out, especially with that visual demonstration I was talking about. I think we can get to it. So, anyways, let's get into, we'll talk a little bit about grip first. Now, I know players, especially good players like yourself, are hesitant on switching their grip, but let's just kind of go over what your grip is doing currently. So your right hand grip is pointing up towards the neck, or like right side part of the neck. That would be on the neutral or to almost even kind of weak side. And then your left hand grip as well is pointing to the right side of your neck as well, right there from our view. So that's definitely neutral to even a weak grip right there. But here's the thing, there's a few ways, and you're going to kind of see what I mean here in a sec. I like to see the club face pointing in a certain position at P6, which P6 for me is basically hands on the hips. So we're going to stop you there and then zoom out real quick so we can see your club face. So see how your club face or your toe is pointing up to the sky? So once I start talking a little bit about the body and getting the body in a better place, I like to see the club face. Basically, yours is up, your toe is pointing up to the sky. I like to see, let's say, that toe pointing up to the sky, let's say that's a 90-degree angle, okay? I like to see the club face or the toe pointing like 45. So pointing, the face would be pointing a little bit down towards the ground. And you'll kind of see that in Jin. It's a little blurry here. Yeah, it's too blurry to see, but Jin's got that look, whereas club face or the toe is pointing a little bit more down towards the ground than yours would be. So there's two ways to fix that. You can always get a stronger grip, which I know, like I stated earlier, good players really don't like doing that. Or you can get a little bit more flexion at the top of your swing. So i.e., in transition, you're feeling like you're putting on that bow of the wrist or flexion in the wrist, that DJ look, in transition, and I'll get that club face cleaned up. So anyways, now that we kind of established what I like to see with the club face, let's talk a little bit about the body. So takeaway looks really good, nice width right there. I would say top of the swing, notice how, let's stop Jin up at the top of the swing and then we'll check both of you guys out. So notice how Jin's hand positioning is left of his head and yours is pretty much right behind. Now the reason why yours is different is it's not because your arms are swinging too far back, but I think a lot of it has to do with the axis of your shoulders. So if we went on to the down the line view, we'd see that Jin, he has an 8-iron here. When he gets to the top of his swing, his shoulder axis is right at kind of around a 45-degree angle. Or you could just think about it, if you stood up tall and just rotated without putting any type of bend in the shoulders, that would be kind of, let's say that's 90 degrees. So Jin would be at 45, which would kind of be half that. So he's just got basically the left shoulder and the right shoulder at an axis that's a little bit steeper than yours. And once you start doing that, what that's going to allow you to do is kind of get your hands are going to be a little bit more so out here, which is going to get them a little bit more out in front of you, which is going to kind of help with those hooks with the irons and the little pulls that you're getting from what you told me. So that would be change number 2. So let's go back and review what we went over so far. So we talked a little bit about grip and club face positioning at P6. So there's with grip, you can either change to a stronger grip, and an example of that would be your right hand V would be pointing a little bit more up towards the trail side shoulder, or right side shoulder, so it would be a little bit more like this. And then this one would be a little bit more so pointing at the neck. That would be a stronger grip. That's one way to fix it. Or, like I said, you can just feel like you get a little bit more flexion in transition, or that DJ look in transition. Now the second thing that we talked about was hand positioning at the top, noticing that your hands were a little bit more behind your head than Jin's was a little bit more to the left. And then we talked about how basically just tilting the axis of the shoulders and getting them on a little bit steeper incline will kind of cure that up for you, and then get kind of hands a little bit more out in front of you, which will help with the hooks. So that's pretty much what we've gone over so far. If you just kind of do those two things in itself, I think you're going to improve and get contact better, and you're going to get a little bit more distance that way. But now let's address some lower body work in transition and kind of what I think is hurting you a little bit. So I'm going to draw a line right here, and you probably already know what I'm about to talk about. But you have this forward bump, and basically by, let's go P6, or kind of around P6, you and Jen are going to be in a little bit different position. That's left arm parallel, so let me go one more click for you as well. So here's the difference between you and Jen in this position. If we draw a line on Jen's pelvis, look how level it is at that point. Now if we draw one on your pelvis, notice how the left side pelvis is higher than the right. Now I want you to try an experiment. Try a swing, or not even a swing, try setting up with the left side pelvis higher than the right, and then try to rotate your upper body when you do that. You're going to see that you can't rotate a lot. So when you don't rotate a lot and your shoulder line kind of stays closed, you're pushing kind of swing direction and path out to the right, which means for most players when they swing too far right, they start losing control over the face, and they have to have a lot of forearm roll or a lot of release through the impact zone, which then means, you know, that's your kind of your accuracy issues. And then if you start swinging too far to the right, you're going to be coming in so shallow that you're going to start struggling with compressing the ball, and that would be kind of your distance loss issues right there. So that would be definitely one thing to work on. And like I said, I'm going to do a visual drill that I think you're going to really like to help you with this. But again, so in transition, you're going to feel like your hips aren't breaking this barrier. So once your hands get down to P6 right here, your hips will have not broken that arrow, and your pelvis is actually going to be a little bit more level to even the left side pelvis being lower. And again, I'll show you some drills on how to do that, because that's kind of a complex movement, but once you kind of get the drill around it, it's super easy to do. And once you get down to hands level to hips and you haven't broken that barrier, then you can kind of push through that wall as much as you want. Now what that's going to allow you to do is A, it's going to get you better contact. B, notice how hips have pretty much outraced the hands. We got that little look here, which means you're kind of adding on a little bit of loft and losing control over face. Well, you're going to see your hips are going to be a little bit more so, one sec. So your hips are going to be pretty much right here is your left, or right hip, excuse me, and then your left hip is going to be a little bit more right, one sec, right here. So you're going to have a little bit more shaft leg is what I'm trying to get to, and you're going to have basically the pelvis a little bit more centered at this point. So those would be the recommended change I would recommend for now. So again, let's kind of review that real quick. So again, we talked about maybe possibly changing grip to a little bit stronger. If you don't want to change grip, you definitely got to get a little bit more flexion or that DJ look in transition. From there, we talked about getting the shoulder axis a little bit steeper, or i.e. feeling like if you stood up tall and straight and just rotated, that would be 90 degrees. You need to have a 45-degree angle with an 8-iron. Or for you, for every club, you're going to feel like you have a little bit steeper shoulder axis. That's something, again, I can show you as well, and I have more drills for that. And then the last thing we went over was this left hip breaking through the barrier too early, and the left side pelvis getting higher than the right. So those would be kind of the things I'd focus in on. Like I said, I'll get you that drill tomorrow. I think you'd really like that. I think it really relates, and I guarantee that you're going to start compressing the ball a lot more. You're probably going to get a little bit more neutral fight with the irons, and you're probably going to start hitting nice little high draw with the drivers. So anyways, hopefully this helps, and best of luck.